When you have the youth, the masculine youth of the world, thinking for themselves, that's pretty scary to authority.
One of the biggest fatal mistakes any man or human being can make.
To chop my head off and try and delete me is asinine in and of itself. Another thing, I'll give the game away. Here's your piece of paper. Do you want to get canceled again, Logan?
You're saying a call like that was made?
100%. The dude's a bitch.
Lady of yours that you introduced to us yesterday said, this is my wife. I don't even know if I'm convinced you want to have 5 wives.
And that's a very astute observation, and you are correct. But I won't believe in it. I don't want to believe in things that make me weak.
You get to have 2 people from Twitter to come to court to defend themselves. So he could have gone to Jack Dorsey. Long story short, they finally lifted it. He is on Twitter and he's posting heavily, talking about the fact the reason why he got banned is because the government didn't want him on inciting what he was inciting. So the moral of the story is, when you say something like that, for someone like you seem like you're a methodical guy. You're a chess guy. Your dad's a chess person. 5-time United Armed Force champion, 5 times, 6 times Indiana State. You were playing at 5 years old against 16-year-olds. You don't play chess without being strategic, thinking about your next few moves.
Correct.
So if you don't do anything and bring lawyers in, to the market, I've interviewed a lot of people who are in the mob. To the market, it sounds like they're right.
Absolutely.
But if you do and you defend yourself, you're not only doing it for yourself, but you're also doing it for others who maybe don't have your kind of resources to say,
correct,
hey, this guy's willing to stand up. He kind of helped change the law for me.
Correct.
Because the one case, it was the Sikhs against Facebook. That's the case that helped them out. India years ago didn't like this Facebook group that had Sikhs. It was a Sikh Facebook page. So India told Facebook to take them off. Facebook took them off. Then Sikhs sued Facebook. That became the precedence.
Nice.
So somebody like you can potentially set a new one against Section 230.
Absolutely. I certainly have legal options being explored. And I don't want to say too much on the podcast, but legal options are certainly being explored. We'll see how things progress across the next few weeks. But I have a very strong suspicion I will end up back on the media platforms, or they will offer them back to me. The question now at this point is if I even want them anymore, which is a unique question, because a lot of people still believe that you can only have a significant presence in the world with these social media platforms. That's the source of their power. I believe there's huge pressure behind the dam in regards to the fact that everybody understands that these places are tyrannical and that they control ideas and that they force narratives. And I use my wording as the Matrix. I call them the Matrix. And people say to me, why do you call them the Matrix? And I say, because they project a false version of reality in real time that people subscribe to. If there wasn't an absolute blacklist on all opposing views during COVID-19, that bullshit would never have gone on for as long as it did. It went on for as long as it did, and they managed to purport a false version of reality for so long because you couldn't discuss the opposing side. We just talked about our friend here who got banned for saying something very sensible and logical. So when you get huge media companies that can literally alter in reality in real time by deleting the other side of an argument, they're creating a matrix, is what I like to call it. So I call them the source of the matrix. So people understand this, and there's huge pressure behind the dam. But the problem is people say, well, what's the alternative? And I think if someone could pave the way and put a crack in the dam by maintaining massive relevancy despite of a ban and still having a social media platform and presence which is respected on other platforms, I think it's going to do them significant damage. I think the pressure and the crack together is going to create something monumental. And already I've moved to Rumble. I only had 738,000 subscribers on my YouTube after 5 years of work. Post-ban, I moved to Rumble, which is a YouTube competitor. Stock price has gone up 36%, and I'm at 500,000 subscribers in 2 weeks. So I'm about to surpass the size of my YouTube channel within a month. YouTube stock's down, Rumble stock's massively up. So all in all, there's other avenues, but we'll see. I certainly agree with you that what they've done to me is massively unfair. They know it's unfair. I think the reason they didn't send me any email or any confirmation of what I did wrong is because they knew they were going to end up in court, and they didn't want to be tied down to their reason. They want to stay fluid and try and make up a reason on the day. Yeah. I've heard from very reliable sources that their terms of service have changed significantly post my ban. They've made up new reasons. Post ban, they've made up a bunch of new shit. So it's going to be interesting, but certainly, yeah, there has to be legal ramifications for what they've done. I don't take it personally, but I do take it professionally. And you're right. They were wrong. I have no reason to be banned. My Instagram is just cars. Like, it's just cars and a little bit of flexing. There's no politics. There's not even any points of view. I had no strikes, nothing. It's just a hit piece. So
if there were betting odds, like if we did a poll, why do you think Andrew Tate was banned from all the social media platforms? And it was misogyny, right? You know, COVID stuff, against the governments, against system. If you were a betting man, where would you kind of place the odds?
Oh, I already know. Everybody already knows I was banned because I talked against the system, against the Matrix. They know
the system in general.
The system in general, yeah. I mean, someone compared me to Socrates, which is a compliment, but he was vilified. He ended up poisoning himself in Athens, and the charge against him was corrupting the youth. If you read about his poisoning and his arrest, they said he was corrupting the youth, but he wasn't corrupting them. He was inspiring them to challenge authority. He was inspiring them to think for themselves. When they were told something, instead of blindly complying, he said, look, analyze who these people are who are telling you to do X. And I even had a tweet I put out on I've been banned on Twitter forever. So I've been through 20 Twitter bans. I come back as undercover, whatever. But I've been saying I said, if you have a point of view that you are very strong in your adherence to, if you truly believe something, you need to sit and analyze whether it's your own personal experience that makes you believe something, or if someone else or something else has convinced you of this. And if they have, you need to then once again analyze that point of view and analyze who these people are and what they want from you. Do they truly want the best of you? If the news convinces you of something to the point where you're going to argue with your own family members at a dinner table, does the news really care about you more than your family? This is a genuine question. You need to analyze every belief you hold, where it came from, and then analyze what their intentions are. And if you start to do that, you look at something like COVID, for example, it's an easy one. And you look at all the bullshit they were saying, and you sit here and go, wait, these people don't care about me. If I had diabetes or I needed insulin, or if I had cancer, or if I got in a car crash, anything, they'd be hitting me with medical bills I could never possibly afford. They'd let me die. But they are insisting I take this shot for free on repeat. This doesn't make sense. And when you encourage people to think for themselves, especially the youth, that's what Socrates got accused of. He's corrupting the youth. And to be honest with you, a huge portion of my fan base were 18 to 23, 24-year-old males. When you have the youth, the masculine youth of the world, thinking for themselves, that's pretty scary to authority. Because it's the masculine youth of the world that is, one, the revolutionaries, and two, also, that's the backbone of the slave force. If you need people to go die in a ditch in Afghanistan, you need them. If you need people to work bullshit jobs in a coal mine with no health care, you need them. If you need people to blindly comply to bullshit, you need them more than anybody, more than you need the feminists and the liberals. You need the real men to go out there and comply with the bullshit, to live a shitty existence, to purport and prop up a system.
The warrior class.
The warrior class, right? And if enough of these men stand in one place and say, this is enough, that's when a revolution happens. Mm-hmm. So this is the most dangerous group of the demographic that the Matrix and the people are trying to control, and they have to have a narrative over. And that's why they're trying to weaken them in every regard. And when I'm sitting there saying, don't listen to the bullshit, become physically strong, think for yourself, prioritize your brotherhood above what the fucking Matrix is telling you, do not blindly comply, resist the slave mind, all these things I'm saying, they just sat there one day and said, wait, the most popular person on the planet is saying, don't listen to our bullshit. Delete.
Yeah, so I don't think I have an issue with somebody coming after my name, saying whatever they want to say. It's going to happen. That's a part of the game. The bigger you get, the louder you get. That's whether it's in business, theology, church, military, social media, you're going to have that happen. And Hollywood's going to happen to you. The concern is when we can't have debate. Right. There's nothing more powerful than you and I having a debate. You know, vaccine. In our family, we sat down, we had the conversation about vaccine. My dad's a conservative, 80 years old. He says, I'm going to take the vaccine, and I'm going to take the second shot, and I'm going to take a booster, and I'm going to take another booster. He went through all the boosters, right? And he says, but I'm doing it because of my age. I'm like, go for it. And hey, my nanny, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm taking this. Go for it. We had a conversation, and then we made a decision what people wanted to do. Nothing wrong with that, but to not allow that discourse to take place is a challenge. To be fair, I went on there, and I asked our research team, I said, guys, tell me everything Tate said that's pissed people off. Okay, I want to read some of this stuff.
Sure.
And, you know, some of it's rubbed some people the wrong way, and some of it's offended certain people. But these are some of the things that you've said in the past before. You said, it's been proven that the smartest people in the world are men. Okay.
Correct.
I think you had that with Barstool Sports, and then they came out with the Portnoy and the highest IQ. And then later on, it was proven that most of the IQ was more men than it was women.
Absolutely.
Next, I will not administer CPR unless you're a hot female.
Yeah.
Okay?
So what's actually interesting is, and this is what's really, really important, because it becomes a broader argument than just me and what's happened to me. And I want to make something clear to the social media companies also as a whole. A lot of the things I said were in longer format video on YouTube 3-4 years ago. And the way that social media is being produced and also digested has changed significantly in the last year. It's all TikTok, it's all YouTube Shorts, it's all Instagram stories. TikTok in real time has destroyed the attention span of billions of people. Have you ever watched somebody on TikTok? How long do they give a video before they get bored? How long? Watch someone. Next time you see
2
someone on TikTok.
seconds.
Boring.
Yeah.
Boring. Like your attention span is gone. You can no longer focus on the real world. You can't focus on anything. ADHD is being developed in real time from these apps, right? So the idea of me producing a 7-8 minute video like I used to, and people consuming all of it and understanding the context is gone. They'll take few seconds, like me saying I wouldn't administer CPR to a man, for example. And it was actually satire, of course. It's a joke. I talk at length about how
That's the part.
that's the whole point. It's a joke. But they take that one part, they put it on a TikTok, boom, boom, boom. They add some editing, they remove the tonality, they make it interesting and funny, and it goes viral. That's fine. But the point we now live in a world where anything you ever say can be taken out of context. Anything you ever say can be weaponized against you. And I'm not complaining. I don't believe in complaining. I believe in responsibility. And I'm not saying I didn't say them. I'm not saying I didn't mean it. I'm saying that most of the people who are upset by things I've said have heard a few clips out of context and never actually digested any of my content seriously. You know, because that was part of a very long video.
Yeah.
The idea that I would let my brother die next to me, my own brother or my friend die next to me.
Because he's not a hot chick.
Because he's not a hot chick. It's asinine. It's a name, right? But it's stupid to even believe it. But if you watch the whole video at length, that makes sense. But if you only see that, then it doesn't make sense.
You know what's crazy though? Because I'm sure you saw what Rogan said about you and the position they took when we're talking about you. And they're like, look, we need this guy.
Yeah.
Because he's got to keep talking about the stuff, and he's having a conversation with Brandon Schaap. I think it's Eddie. It's all these guys that are on there.
Friend Brian Callen.
Yeah. And then they're like, yeah, this guy, we got to protect what he has to say. But then Jake Paul said, I don't roll with Tate. I'd love to knock his ass out. He said something like that. Yeah. But then he said, but what I do support is, free speech. But then his brother said something else. His brother said, the shit that Andrew Tate says will have a ripple effect much more dangerous than you can imagine because his narrative is truly hateful. His rhetoric has extreme negative energy in it, and it will affect impressionable young people that won't show for years from now, and it's dangerous.